Hello, everybody, and welcome to another video edition of the Spirit Side Podcast. In this podcast, I want to talk about angels. Someone about 2 or 3 videos back asked in the comments, we hear a lot about demons and the devil and the bad angels and the archons and all these dark spirits. But what about the good ones? What about the ones that look out for us and help us? And that's a really great question because we do. We do hear a lot from religious people and spiritual people, about the demons and the devil and the darkness and the madmen trying to take over the world and the darkness that's driving them. And oh my God, they're after us. And oh my God, they're going to, control our minds and all this type of thing. But we really don't think. I think a lot of people get the impression that we're just thrown into this world and God is saying, okay, fend for yourself. I'm not going to do anything for you. The angels aren't going to do anything for you. Just muddle through. And if you learn all the right secrets and all the right spiritual formulas and find the right religion and profess the right Savior, then you'll be okay in the end. But I don't really think it works that way. Because if you look particularly in the book of Psalms, in the 91st Psalm, it talks about that the Lord gives his angels charge over us to keep us in all our ways. In their hands they bear us up lest we dash our feet against a stone. It is said that the angel encamps round about us so that no evil or plague will come near us or our dwelling. When we look at the New Testament, and when we look at the New Testament, the stories about the apostles and Jesus, when he was in the wilderness after fasting for 40 days, it said angels came and tended to him. And even in the Garden of Gethsemane, after he prayed and he was full of anxiety thinking about going to the cross, and angels came and ministered to him. And these stories are there to show us that Jesus didn't have angels come to him because he was some, special prophet or special anointing. But those stories are there to show us that as children of God, what we all have a spiritual right to, our birthright, to commune and have this spiritual protection from God in our lives. Even the Quran talks about God gives myriads of angels charge over those who acknowledge him and those who love him. The angels protect them and form that wall of protection around them. There's a story in the Quran also where the believers were fighting with a great number of people that had come from Mecca trying to wipe them out. And there were fewer Muslims than there were of the pagan tribes coming from Mecca. But it said the angels, thousands of angels stood in the sky and gave the believers courage and strength. And in the original Arabic, it pretty much says that though they weren't seen with the physical eye, they were kind of like sending energy, this spiritual energy to lift the believers and strengthen them, spiritually and mentally and even physically. So it's fascinating to read throughout all the scriptures these accounts of angels that came and helped people in a time of need. There's the story in the Old Testament where there is Elijah, and I believe it was his protege Elisha, and there was a great army coming against them, and Elijah's protege was fearful, and it said the Lord opened his eyes, and Elijah showed him these thousands of angels, up in the mountains, in chariots of fire with their swords of flames drawn. And Elijah said, behold, those who are for us are more than those who are against us. And I think these are really great stories from the scriptures and instructions from the scriptures showing we do have angelic protection available to us. And the thing that I've learned over the years, I mean, I myself, if you go back to the end of November and through December, you'll see that I did a lot of videos about angels, and I myself had an encounter when I was very young with an angelic being, and it was life saving, it was life transforming, it was a very loving encounter, and it happened in different periods throughout my life, and it took me a while to understand what was happening, or even to accept that this experience was happening to me. But also, you'll see videos back in November, December 2018, where I interviewed other people and their angelic experiences, where people in times of need, uh, these beings of light would appear to them, or a stranger would come out of nowhere and help them, help them, and then just disappear into thin air. And we hear stories of healings that way. People who are sick, and this being of light appears, in the room or their hospital room. And maybe it just appears and then it disappears. Sometimes it touches them or whispers a word to them that, you're going to be all right. And the person who's, maybe terminally ill is healed. So, I would put forth that we have a lot of spiritual protection. We're not thrown into this world to fend for ourselves. We're not here. I don't think we're supposed to worry so much about, these demons and archons and madmen and evil spirits and all this sort of thing. Because, God is for us. He has given his angels charge over us, and they fight for us. I mean, they're just like the story in the Quran, with the angels strengthening the believers. You hear a lot of stories of people who are about to be mugged or attacked, on the streets at night, and suddenly a stranger appears, or the person who's attacking or about to mug or rob someone freezes in their tracks and they look afraid, and they just run away because they say they see someone or something standing behind their intended victim that is very big, and it frightens them. So angels do intervene. But I would also put forth this, and that I found in my life. I used to be the kind of person that would worry way too much. And I found that when you're angry, if you're afraid, if you're worrying, this intervention from God, or angelic intervention, can take longer to get to us. And you hear people say, well, certain thoughts, certain emotions kind of clog the pipeline between here and heaven, between this realm and the spiritual realm. And I think there's something to that, because myself, anybody I've ever known, and I've been doing spiritual work, and I've talked to a lot of people for, wow, I mean, professionally, I've been doing spiritual counseling and all that sort of thing for over 20 years now. But even before that, I was interested in all this. And I've always heard people say the same thing, that once they stopped worrying, once they stopped being angry, once they stopped being so afraid and just trusted, that the answer, that the protection, that the help came almost immediately. You always hear people say, well, once I got out of my own way, uh, everything just kind of flowed very quickly. The answers to the prayer, everything worked out okay. And I would put forth, it's the same with angelic protection. We're all so worried about these negative people, negative entities, bad angels, fallen angels. I mean, it seems to be every other word out of everybody's mouth. Oh, the fallen angels. Oh, the demons. Oh, the devil. And, they're going to, they're hiding around every corner and, under every pencil, to jump out and grab you. I think that hinders the divine spirit in our lives and hinders it from, coming to our aid. I once heard a person say that fear is faith inverted. Faith is having belief and confidence in God who loves you to do good for you, to be there for you. He has your back. But fear is the inversion of faith because you have more faith or more confidence in something or someone else's ability to do you harm. And I thought that was great because it just made sense to me, and I hope it makes sense to you, because you think about that. When we're always afraid, we're always, oh my God, the world's going to end. Oh my God, the crazy people that are trying to take over the world, they're destroying everything. And oh my God, the devil and the demons and the fallen angels, and oh, we're all going to be doomed. What are you having faith in? What are you putting all your confidence in? Who are you calling to yourself, even though you call yourself a believer or a spiritual person? I've also heard people say, and I believe there's something to it, that God and the angels are not intruders. You have to open your heart, you have to open your mind, you have to ask them to come in. And there are times where things just happen, but I've always found that once you open that door in your heart, in your mind, and just say a simple prayer, God, I need help. I'm asking you to send angels, people, whatever it is you might need, to get me out of this jam, and I'm open to it. My heart is open to it. My life is open to it. And I have every trust and confidence in you to help me in this time of need, or help me in this time of the world going crazy. And then just sit back and relax, acting like you've just asked someone, whether it's a relative, a friend, whoever it might be, the most trusted person you can think of, that you just asked them for a favor or for help, and they said, hey man, you got it. Have that kind of confidence in God, and even more so, because he is more faithful than any human being ever could be. So I think it's important to open our lives, open our hearts, open our minds, to the angelic kingdom, to God and his blessings and his protection. I want to share a story. And as many of you know, I was once a fundamentalist Christian. And in that movement, and you've heard me mention this before, people were very superstitious. You heard people say things like, don't watch horror movies. You're playing in the devil's backyard. If you watch a horror movie, you'll bring demons right there to you in your living room. Don't listen to secular rock music. The sound of electric guitars, it puts out a frequency that will bring, disgusting, filthy spirits and demons from miles around just coming into your home. Don't read certain books. If you even have this book in your home, it could bring demons. And I'm sure some of you have heard things like that before. And I cannot count the number of Christians that I knew at that time, or heard of at that time. Oh, I heard this movie was really good. It was a horror movie. I rented the DVD, and now there was all these noises in my house, and the devil's on me, and spiritual warfare. Everybody, everybody was having scary, negative poltergeist type of activity for doing the most minute little thing, watching a movie, listening to a song, reading a certain book, even having a certain figurine in their home, for crying out loud, whether it was, a Buddha or a fairy or, some other, maybe a wood nymph or something like that. That there were spirits attached to these things. Everybody was plagued all the time. Everybody was having ministers come to their house to bless the house. Bless them, exercise their house. And meanwhile, I mean, I never bought into any of that stuff. I mean, I've always enjoyed science fiction movies and horror movies, and I've watched them since I was 5 years old, and I was watching them then. And I never had any of that happen to me. And I knew other Christians that said the same thing. It's a bunch of nonsense. Yeah, of course I'm going to go home and watch, the new, Night of the Living Dead or whatever the case may be. Nothing ever happened, and they were fine. They were positive. They were happy. They loved God. Things went well in their lives. They were healthy. But all the people that feared those things, if they even dared buy a CD of secular music, by this terrible artist, that made a deal with the devil allegedly to get their record deal or whatever the case may be. Demons are everywhere. So now if you take out the certain percentage of those people that were probably psychologically damaged, and hallucinating or having some kind of psychotic episode because religion, gave them a healthy dose of fear. And then you have maybe some of the sane people left, or I won't say sane, but people that are not so influential that maybe had a real experience. Why did they have that experience? Why did some fundamentalist Christians listen to rock music, watch horror movies, read Harry Potter, or whatever the case may be, and nothing happened, but others did? I would say, could it be that the person had that inverted faith, fear, so much in that thing that they were opening the door to dark forces in their lives? I think there's something to that. I really think there's something to that. Think about the words of Christ. How many times he said, according to your faith, it will be done unto you. Think about the book of Proverbs, which says, as a man thinketh, so is he. So there's a lot of scriptures also that talk about, as we think in our hearts, so it will be, or so we are, or so things will happen in our lives. And so are we pushing angelic protection away from us? Are we pushing the protection of God away from us by constantly having fear, faith inverted, in the devil and the demons and the archons and the bad people in the world and the crazy elitists and all this sort of thing? I think we need to think about that. I've always said, whatever this world is, it's a classroom for the soul. And we're all here to learn one way or another. And maybe that's one of the lessons. So many people thrive on fear. They're always afraid of something. It's going to be nuclear war. It's going to be World War III. It's going to be, whatever the case may be. People over the ages have always been afraid of something. And could this be why you hear a lot of people say, well, how come we don't see so much divine intervention or angelic intervention or supernatural happenings in the lives of the believers and the people that believe in God like they did maybe back in the times of Isaiah or Elijah or Moses or Muhammad or Jesus? And could it be that because of modern day society, we've gotten so far away from the mindset of faith and confidence in God that those people had before there were all these computers and atomic bombs and HARP and CERN and all this nonsense? Now we only read about those miracles in a book, and all this other stuff around us in this material world seems so much more real, so much more threatening. So could it be we don't see so much of those miracles and angelic interventions and the presence of God coming to people because what we call faith is just something we put over here on a shelf somewhere? Well, yeah, God's out there and he's good and he's for me, and eventually he'll help me out, in the end. But until then, I got all this scary stuff to contend with. So are we the ones, not that the age of miracles or divine intervention has passed away, but we're the ones who have pushed it out of our lives, out of our world, because we have more faith and confidence in other things, things that will hurt us, things that will kill us. God knows what. Some people have more faith in their favorite sports team to win a game than they do, God, in God to do something good for them. You know, so I was thinking about this. What about the good angels? What about God helping us, protecting us, um, preserving us from all this garbage that goes on in the world sometimes, and even the dark entities, the fallen angels or demons or archons, call them what you will. Um, I think that protection is still available because I know people. I know people who just that stuff doesn't faze them. It doesn't affect their lives in one iota. And it doesn't matter to them if the madmen take this world over and kill them tomorrow. Hey, they know where they're going. And I'll tell you one thing, ladies and gentlemen, I'm of the same mindset. I don't worry about it. I don't care what the madmen do. I don't care what the dark forces that drive them do, because I know one of two things. I'm either going to be protected and preserved through all of that if it gets really heavy on the earth. And if I don't, I don't. Because I know where I'm going. I know to whom I belong. And I know if those angels that are for me don't intervene and help me at that critical moment where it's life or death, they're sure as heck going to pick me up and they're gonna carry me home. They're going to take me into the light. They're going to take me into that place where none of this is anymore. That's the kind of confidence I personally have. I focus more on the good, on God, on love, on faith, on trying to be a good, decent, positive, honest influence in this world. I mean, the best I can. Um, that's where I'm at. And I know a lot of other people that, far exceed, what, what my belief system in faith in God are. But I would say, yeah, get out of fear. Stop shutting the door. Stop clogging the pipe. Have a little bit of confidence in God to be there with you. Have a little bit of confidence in God to give his angels charge over you, to protect you and help you and be there for you when you need them. Like Elijah said, there are more that are for us than there are against us. We have the whole host of the heavenlies on our side, and they're not just sitting back idle, waiting for us to get our butts kicked by the bad guys. No, I think they're ready to intervene. I think they're ready to be there for us. They want to be there for us. You know, we're loved. God loves us, plain and simple. And if He loves us, He's going to protect us. He's going to help us. He's going to give us courage. As I said before, even in the face of death, even in that worst case scenario, we have that peace of mind where it's like, now, oh no, I'm going to die, CERN, or the chemicals being is sprayed around in the atmosphere and all this stuff. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. What's gonna happen? You're not gonna be worried so much about that, because really, this world is like babies playing in a playpen. And once you realize all these people and their wars and their devious little plans and what they think they're going to do, control everything, and look at us, we're so powerful because we got money. It's like infants. It's like infants in a playpen with rattles. I got all the rattles. I got all the little baby toys in my corner, so I control the playpen. But now if you're older, you're 15, 16, 20, 30, 40, you're getting out of the playpen. There's a hell of a lot more outside the playpen. You're like, keep your stinking rattles, man. I don't need them. I don't want them. I don't care what you do with them. I don't care what you think you're going to do with them, because I'm out of here. This isn't I'm not going to be living in the playpen forever. And there's going to come a time when this playpen is done away with. The whole atmosphere that we live in is going to be spiritually remade and lifted up to a higher vibration. So what does it matter? You can cling to the baby toys in the corner thinking you control the playpen if you want to think that. But in the end, you're only bringing harm to your own soul, because you're not seeing the bigger picture. And when you see that bigger picture, ladies and gentlemen, that's when you just have a peace that says, man, it doesn't really matter what they do. I don't, and it's not that you're indifferent, like, oh, I don't care. You enjoy life. You love your life. You love God. You love your family. You're having a beautiful life. But you're also aware that, there's definitely some darkness in this world. And if that darkness runs this world into the ground, you're just not so worried about it, because you know where you're going. There's life outside of the playpen. You got if the playpen falls apart, you got a whole house to explore. And then you got a whole yard to explore, and a whole neighborhood, a whole town, a whole city, a whole country, a whole world, a whole universe. But we sit there and get so worried over the playpen, And I hope that's an illustration that kind of raises your thoughts, raises your faith to have more confidence and faith in God and in those angelic spirits that are there to help us, more than you have inverted faith or fear over what's going on with the babies in the playpen. I mean, it just doesn't compare. And again, the Quran says, the things of this world are nothing more but a distraction. The hereafter is much better for us, and that we should focus on being with God, living with God in paradise when all this is said and done, or we live this world. And again, I agree with that. I think sometimes we say that we're spiritual people, but we're very afraid to think about going back into spirit. Whether it's, this world and wears out, it's finally time to raise the spiritual vibration of the universe. This is done. Whether we die of old age, whether we die at the hands of the crazy people, who are controlled by the darkness, I think we get afraid. We want to hold on to the playpen. We know it kind of sucks, but at least now we know we're alive here in the playpen with the babies trying to control everything. And I think we get afraid to let that go. But trust me, ladies and gentlemen, there is more, something bigger outside the playpen. There is life beyond this life. There is a divine spirit out there. There are angels who are around you and looking to guide you and help you. And in the end, they will help to guide you home into the light. And, the last time I did a podcast and the phone rang, somebody said, hey, that's a sign. It's somebody giving us a wake-up call saying, wake up, listen. So I'm not going to edit that out because maybe it's a wake-up call for us all, not to have so much faith in the playpen. But I was saying, there's a lot more outside of all this. There's God is for us. There are angels there that are looking to protect us and help us. Invite them in. Stop having so much inverted faith, which is fear in the darkness to do you harm. Open your heart to God. Open your heart to the light and say, man, come in and bless me. Come in and protect me. Come in and guide me on this journey. I ask for spiritual guidance every day. Every night when I go to bed, I give thanks for the guidance I had that previous day, and I ask for more of God's guidance, whether it's to grow spiritually or whatever I need in my life. And it's just an amazing thing. It amazes me daily, the things that happen, the things that come to me. It's just like blessing after blessing. And I'm not somebody special. I'm not a guru saying, look how wonderful I am. I'm just saying I know what works for me, what's worked for so many years, bringing me peace and blessings and not so much fear and worry. And I've seen the same thing happen to so many other people. So I know that there's something to it. There's a spiritual truth to this. Open your heart, open your mind to the light and just say, guide me. Guide me through all this. Give your angels charge over me. Let no evil or plague or calamity come near my dwelling. Just be with me, protect me, help me and guide me. I trust you, and I trust in the angels of light to be here with me and to be my guardians from the divine. You'll be so surprised. I think you'll be so surprised the things that will happen in your life after that will just be absolutely mind-blowing. It's like stepping into a completely different realm, and all the people, all the babies gathering all the rattles and stuffed animals in the corner trying to control the playpen. You just get to that place where you do look at it and you're like, you don't even bat an eye over it. It doesn't bother you one iota, because you know the truth in your heart, who's for you, who's got your back, and to whom you belong. So I hope this message was helpful to someone out there. Once again, I appreciate all of you watching and listening. God bless you all, and I'll see you in the next upload. Whoops. Next upload.